but I'm stuck in this world that I'm not familiar with because as I said at the beginning, grief changes you. The world that you knew no longer exists. And so for someone to think of me, that's what I was thinking when I received this card and I opened it, that somebody knew that months have passed, but I still am suffering the loss of my son, and they see me. They understand that the loss was just that great, that they would say something to me, reach out to me months later. Just show up. Just let them know I see you. I'm thinking about you. I know the loss that you've suffered, and I know it's not over. I know you haven't moved on. How could you? And I care. Because long after words are forgotten, people remember who stayed.
Welcome to Get Real with Alexis Jones. On this podcast, we'll dive into real relationships with real people guided by the wisdom and perspective of some of the most seasoned voices in our community, our beloved seniors. Each week, we'll unpack the joys, challenges, and lessons learned about love, family, friendship, and everything in between. This is a space for heartfelt conversations, eye-opening truths, and powerful stories that will inspire and challenge the way you think about relationships. We're keeping it honest, unfiltered, and deeply meaningful. So settle in and let's get ready to get real. Let's jump in.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Get Real with Alexis. I'm your host, Alexis, and I have a very personal topic for you. I want to share a very personal episode about grief. If you've ever lost someone, you know that grief changes you. It changes you. It doesn't just affect your emotions. It affects your body, your thinking, your relationships, and it even questions your faith at times. As I've walked through my own grief journey, I've learned something important. Most people genuinely want to help. They really do. But many don't know what to say. Most don't know what to say. The truth is that grief makes people uncomfortable. We want to fix pain. We want to make things better. We want to offer answers. We want to make the unpleasantness, the pain, the sorrow, the sadness go away. But grief isn't something that can be fixed. Today, I want to share several things that are often said to grieving people that can unintentionally cause more hurt than comfort. Now, my hope is not to criticize anybody. Most of these comments come from loving hearts. Instead, I hope to help us become better supporters for those who are carrying unimaginable loss. Please don't say these 5 things to people who are grieving. Number 1, I know exactly how you feel. This statement is usually intended to create connection. Well intended. The problem is that no one knows exactly how another person feels. You may have lost a parent. I lost a son. Someone else lost a sibling. Even when the relationship is similar, every loss is unique because every relationship is unique. A better response might be, I can't fully understand what you're going through, but I care about you and I'm here. I'm here. Those words leave room for someone's individual experience. Number 2, please don't say this. Everything happens for a reason. Now, many people say this hoping to provide comfort or spiritual encouragement. But in the early days and months of grief, this phrase can feel dismissive. It can sound as though the pain itself is minimized. When someone is grieving, they are often not looking for explanations. How can you explain a loss? How can you explain that pain? How can you explain it in a way to make that person feel better? They are trying to survive the reality of the loss. They're in shock. They're in dismay. They're in trauma. Explanations are not helpful at that point. Sometimes the most compassionate thing we can do is acknowledge that something painful has happened. Don't try to explain the loss in hopes of bringing comfort. In the church community, so don't try to explain the loss in hopes of providing comfort. Now, in the church community, we hear reasons for the loss. We are, we are so quick to share reasons for someone's loss, and we mean well. We'll say something like, God loved him best, or he's in a better place. Instead of trying to explain the loss, simply say, I'm so sorry. Those 3 words can be so powerful, so incredibly powerful. I'm so sorry. Number 3, at least, dot, 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 at least they lived a long life. At least they're not suffering any longer. At least you still have other family members. Several people have said to me, at least you have your grandchildren. Now, you know how much I love my grandchildren. They are the greatest gift ever. And I have 5 of them. I love my grandchildren. I love to see them coming. I love to hear their voices. I love to get a text message from them. It just brightens my day. But my grandchildren are not a substitute for losing my son Herman. Any sentence beginning with at least usually attempts to redirect attention away from pain. But grief needs space. Grief means pain. The grieving person already knows there may be blessings and other positive things happening in their lives and other reasons to be grateful. Of course, there are reasons to be grateful. I have so much to be grateful for, and so do you. But what grieving people need in that moment, is permission to acknowledge the loss. Loss hurts. There's just no way around it. Missing someone hurts. Love and grief exist together. I shared this story earlier in my journey. I was on the elevator with a really sweet neighbor of mine. I don't know her real well, but I just always enjoy coming into her presence and encountering her in the hallways or outside. She's just a pleasant person, always upbeat. Well, she was on the elevator with me soon after Herman passed, and she was trying to find a way to acknowledge my loss. I know she was, and she may have said something like, how am I doing? Asked me how was I doing? And because I need to be honest in my journey to healing, if I'm not feeling good, I don't say good. If I'm not feeling fine, I don't say fine. So I probably said something like, today's a tough day. Today's a tough day. And her response was, and let me back up and say this. When people ask you that, how are you doing? Do you ever notice that? Let's put grief aside for a second. Have you ever noticed that people ask you how you're doing and they really don't even stop to hear the answer? They say, "How you doing?" And they're gone. You haven't even said, "I'm not doing well." You haven't said, "Good, fine, great." They're gone. They didn't wait for the answer. And when they do wait for the answer, they expect you to say, "Oh, I'm good. How you doing?" But you kind of mess up that flow when you say, "I'm not doing well." So going back to my story, in the elevator, my sweet neighbor asked me how I was doing, and I said, "Today's a tough day." And so her response was, and I'm sure again I caught her off guard, "But you have another daughter, don't you?" I was floored. I was frozen. I could not move. I could not speak. The pain just permeated my body. I don't remember parting from her company. I don't remember walking out of the elevator to my unit. I'm in a condominium building, as I've said many times. I don't remember walking through my door. I do remember sitting down thinking, what just happened? So I sat there for a little while, and then I decided to send her a text message. And again, I have to keep in mind that she meant well. So as kindly as I could, I told her that what she said was painful for me. It really hurt. Because I could have 10 children. If I lost one, it wouldn't lessen my pain. She apologized and she admitted that I don't know what to say in these situations. And I told her, you don't really have to say anything. You could just say, "Hello, Alexis." That would be okay. You don't have to try to say anything. Please don't start a statement to someone who is grieving with "at least." So let's review the numbers so far. There's 5 things I want to share. There are others that I could share, but I chose five statements in this conversation. The first was, "I know exactly how you feel." Please don't say that. Number 2, please don't say, "Everything happens for a reason." And number 3, please don't start a sentence with, "At least." Number 4, you need to move on. You need to move on. Sometimes those aren't the words, but that's the insinuation. That's what's being communicated, whether in words or in behavior. Grief has no timetable. Grief has no timetable. You can't get over the loss of someone you loved in 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years, 20 years. You don't get over. There's no calendar date when someone should be over it. People may look fine on the outside while they're still carrying deep sadness on the inside. And sometimes they carry that sadness because society won't let them be honest about what they're carrying. Society will tell them, you need to put a smile on your face, bury those feelings, and keep going. So you say, or you think they're over it, but they're not. Birthdays come, anniversaries come, holidays, family gatherings, unexpected memories come. And then there are unexpected triggers. One of Herman's really good friends sang this beautiful worship song at his celebration of life service. The name of the song is "Trust in God." It's a beautiful worship song. I love it. But it was sang so beautifully and so emotionally She sang that song with all of her heart, and you could feel her emotions. The entire room was emotional during that song. I mean, people were standing. I stood. There was just a presence that filled that room when this young lady sang that song. But now, sometimes I'm listening to the radio when I'm driving, and that song will come on the radio. Sometimes that song will play, and I'll skip it. Because every time I hear it, my brother shares the same story, the same feeling, and so do his children. We all react when we hear this song, but it takes me right back to the room, to the room and to the seat where I sat in front of that casket and I watched and I looked at my son. It takes me right back to that moment. And the pain of the reality that he's really gone feels too much to bear at that moment. Triggers, triggers, triggers that unless you've lost someone that you love, you don't understand that grief takes time and that everybody's grief journey is unique. Grief isn't a straight line. It changes over time, but it doesn't simply disappear. It doesn't. Instead of encouraging someone to move on, encourage them to keep moving forward. I've often said this to people, and when this topic has come up, I'm never going to get over losing Herman, but I will continue to fight to move forward at my own pace. People who are grieving the loss of a loved one, they should be encouraged to just move forward, but at their own pace, not yours. Number 5, please don't say this to someone who's grieving. Call me if you need anything. Now, I know that this one may surprise a lot of people because most of us have said this, including me. Again, the intention is loving, but many grieving people don't even know what they need. And others don't want to feel like a burden because we feel like you are tired of our tears, that you are tired of our sadness. So I'm not going to call you. Instead of offering a general statement, let me make some suggestions. Offer something specific, like, I'm going to bring dinner over to you. I had a friend at my center who did this a few times. She didn't ask me if I wanted her to bring lunch. She called and said, I'll be over this afternoon with lunch. I need somebody to make that decision for me. We need a little help. We need somebody to say, I'm going to do this. I'm stopping by to check on you. Okay. I'm going to sit with you for a while. Okay. Because even if I tell you no, it's still worth you making that gesture. One of my neighbors asked me to walk with her. She said, Alexis, let's go walking. I think she asked me a couple of times, and I went walking. We walked a couple of miles. It was a really nice day. And we chatted, small talk. It was really, really pleasant. And then on the way back, we stopped to have ice cream. It was really a nice time out. It was easy. It was meaningful. I could tell she cared. Specific support often feels more tangible than an open-ended offer. Much better. Offer something more tangible. Help us out. Help grieving people out and just offer to do something. I think most times they will say yes. And even if they don't say yes, keep offering. Finally, I want to talk about something that I learned from a friend of mine. As I reflect on my own grief journey, I've come to believe that words are overrated. What I remember most are not the perfect speeches or the perfect things that people have said to me. I don't even remember what people have said to me. But I do remember people who showed up for me, the people who sat quietly beside me. They didn't say a word. The people who just watched me and said, I'm here. I'm here. The people who listened, no matter how long I rambled. The people who listened, even when there were long moments of silence. The people who called months later when everyone else had returned to normal life. The people who remembered birthdays, anniversaries, and difficult days. The people who weren't afraid of my tears. There's something sacred about just simply being present. I know I've shared this, but I'll share it again. My friend Trudy passed away a couple of um, months ago now, I believe. And I went to see her in the hospital a couple of weeks before she passed away. And I went in and rolled up my sleeves that she hadn't eaten. So I was trying to get her to eat a bite or two, and I did. And she needed something from the doctor, and she needed something from the nurse. And so I found them and got her questions answered or got her the help that she needed. But at one point during the visit, she said, sit down, Alexis, sit down. And it was almost like you're moving too fast. Just sit. And so I sat, and she shared some personal things with me. And at some point, she said, "Go home, Alexis. Go home." I don't know if she said that because I had been there a while, and she just didn't want to be a burden. I'm really not quite sure why she said it, but my response was, just let me sit here with you. We don't have to talk. You can go to sleep. I just want to sit here with you. And then she said something that forever changed me. She just said, the ministry of presence. The ministry of presence. See, you don't need perfect words. There are no perfect words, really, are there? You don't need all the answers. You don't need to explain the suffering. You don't need to fix the pain. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give a grieving person is your presence. It could be in the form of a text message, a phone call, just a hug, a meal, a card. I'm reminded, I got so many beautiful cards when Herman passed away, and I have every single one of them. They're in a box, and I got letters, I got photographs, and sometimes I take them out and read them. But I received a card months, it could have even been a year after Herman passed away, from my cousin Gail. And it was so timely because you see, by this time, after 2 weeks or 2 months or more, everybody's gone back to their normal activities and routines, right? But I'm stuck in this world that I'm not familiar with because as I said at the beginning, grief changes you. The world that you knew no longer exists. And so for someone to think of me, that's what I was thinking when I received this card and I opened it. that somebody knew that months have passed, but I still am suffering the loss of my son, and they see me. They understand that the loss was just that great, that they would say something to me, reach out to me months later. I don't know whether she forgot to mail the card at the beginning or it got lost in the mail. I never got the answer to that. Even though I called her, she wasn't there and I left a message. I just let her know how much it meant to me. It was so comforting to me. I will never forget how she showed up. A card months later. The ministry of presence. Presence says, I see your pain. I don't have to carry this alone. Presence says, I'm here for you. If you know someone who is grieving today, don't worry so much about finding the right thing to say, the perfect thing to say. Just show up. Just let them know I see you. I'm thinking about you. I know the loss that you've suffered. And I know it's not over. I know you haven't moved on. How could you? And I care. Because long after words are forgotten, people remember who stayed. Please don't say these 5 things to someone who is grieving the loss of a loved one. I know exactly how you feel. Everything happens for a reason. At least, dot, dot, dot. You need to move on. It's time to move on. Call me if you need anything. Thank you for spending this time with me. If this episode has provided clarity or encouraged you in any way, please share it with someone else. I'm on this journey, but I want to share my journey so that it will provide some insight to others, whether you are grieving or you know someone who is. I just want to share my journey in hopes that it will help you and those that you love. I hope you know if you are grieving, I hope you know that you're not alone, because you're not. Even those moments when you feel alone, you are not. You are not. Sometimes you have to reach out to someone who is walking this journey with you and let them know. Tell them what you need. I called my brother last week. I was having one of these waves. The grief hits you like a wave. Sometimes the waves are kind of gentle, and sometimes they they come pounding into the shore, and it rattles you. So I was having a hard time with grief this particular day. I think it was last week. And I called my brother and I just told him, I feel weepy today. I really miss my son. I think and I said something like, it is really hard for a mother to lose her child. And I didn't say much more than that. And my brother has gotten so much better just listening empathetically. I don't know if he's working on it, but he has resisted the temptation to try to say something to make me feel better. He just listened. He just keeps showing up. He keeps showing up. There are times when I'll tell him and I'll tell my son Brandon, I'm really feeling sad and I don't feel like talking, kind of letting them know, just leave me alone for a while. And they'll give me space, but then they'll show up again. Keep showing up. Just keep showing up. And if you are the one who is grieving, I'm doing these podcasts because I'm trying to show up for you. So until next time, take care of yourselves. You matter. You matter to so many. You matter to me. You matter to the people who love you. You matter to God. This is Get Real with Alexis. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.